booting up Duke Nukem 3D on the PC felt like stepping into the future, the interaction, the attitude, the utter chaos of it all. It was a playground of over-the-top action that felt like it would be impossible to play on a home console. So when it was announced for the Sega Saturn, a lot of us were skeptical. Doom on the Saturn had been a mess. This was a game with elevators, swimming pools, and strippers. How could the Saturn possibly handle that? What if I told you that not only did it happen, but that this port became a cult classic for reasons no one saw coming?
Die, you son of a bitch.
And it hid a secret inside that was so good, some people bought the game just for that. This is the story of Duke Nukem 3D on the Sega Saturn. It's not what you remember, and in a lot of ways, it's something entirely its own. Before we dive into the tech, we gotta talk about the man himself.
Damn, those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
Duke Nukem is a time capsule of 90s extreme. He's a parody of every muscle-bound action hero from the 80s and 90s, complete with one-liners to match.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
The guy never shuts up, and that was just part of the charm back then. He was the anti-Doom guy, a cocky, loudmouthed jock who celebrated the carnage. The game's world is littered with pixelated strippers and damsels in distress you save with a slap to the backside. Interacting with them just gets you a crude line from Duke. It's a stark reminder of who this power fantasy was built for back in the day, and like it or not, the Saturn version doesn't tone any of this down. It's all here in its uncensored, cringe-inducing glory. And here's where it gets interesting. While Duke's personality is perfectly preserved, the world he's running through on the Saturn is actually a pretty significant remix. And that transformation started with a bold technical choice. Let's start with the biggest shock. This isn't the build engine from the original PC version. The Saturn version uses Lobotomy Software's own engine called SlaveDriver. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because Lobotomy used it for their other Saturn hit, Power Slave. These guys knew the Saturn's weird dual processor setup, using the master-slave architecture inside and out. Instead of forcing a square peg into a round hole, they rebuilt Duke's world from the ground up for the Saturn's hardware. And this decision gave us something the PC original didn't have: dynamic lighting. So when you fire a rocket or set off an explosion, the light from that blast actually washes over the walls and floors. For a 1997 console, this was a serious wow moment. It made the action feel more visceral. And here's the catch, and where things get really interesting for a port like this. That engine switch meant that nothing could be a simple copy-paste job. Every single level, all 30 of them, had to be completely recreated by hand. Think about that. It's not a direct conversion, it's a full-blown reconstruction. So that's the engine. But what about the game you actually play? Let me show you what this rebuild means when you actually pick up the controller. Right from the first level, Hollywood Holocaust, you'll notice things are off. You start in a slightly different spot. Doors are now solid sliding panels instead of sprite-based ones. And that's just the beginning of a massive list of changes. Due to the Saturn's hardware limits, Lobotomy had to compress everything. Large areas got divided up or simplified. High ceilings were actually lowered. And some levels, like Toxic Dump and The Abyss, were literally split into 2 separate maps to keep the performance smooth. They also had to cut all rotating objects and moving trains. So, those yellow gears you had to squeeze past in Toxic Dump, gone. The trains on the subway, they were replaced with teleporters. I can hear you thinking, that sounds like a downgrade, and in pure detail, it is. Some walls get weirdly distorted. It's a side effect of the conversion process. But here's what most players miss. For example, take the famous Battlelord ship in The Abyss. Now on the PC, there's a whole long trek to get to it. On Saturn, the path is shorter and more direct. They redesigned the journey. It's different, but it's not necessarily worse. It's just the Saturn's version of the story. And sometimes they even fixed things. On the PC, there's a notorious bench shortcut in the Tiberius station you could only hit while falling. On Saturn, They redesigned the area, so the shortcut doesn't work. Was it intentional? We'll never know. But it leveled the playing field. And these changes go way beyond just geometry. Where things get really wild is with the enemies and the weapons. And this is where the Saturn version developed its own unique and brutally challenging personality. Get ready, because the enemy behavior in this port is different, and I mean rage quit and throw your controller different. Big cops are slower and less aggressive, which might seem like a break, but don't get comfortable. Octobrains fire their psychic projectiles with almost no warning. Those things move like lasers and hit like trucks. And the assault commanders? They're outright terrifying. Their rockets fly faster, do more damage, and they give you a split second to react. You have to respect every single enemy in this version in a way that you didn't on the PC. I mean, even the weapons got tweaked. Your pistol now fires a bit slower. You can't throw pipe bombs quite as far. But as a trade-off, the Devastator rocket launcher is much more powerful. It forces you to change your tactics. You can't just rely on run-and-gun Duke tactics from the PC. You have to be a bit more methodical.
I'm Duke Nukem, and I'm coming to get the rest of you alien bastards.
And this actually creates a fascinating paradox. While the levels are often simplified, the combat is more punishing. It's a fresh challenge for even veteran Duke players. You're familiar with the game, but the rules of engagement have changed. And just when you think you've got the hang of this new, tougher Duke world, the game pulls the ultimate trick. It hides an entire second game inside of it. And this wasn't just any secret. For some people, this hidden gem was the main reason to buy the Saturn disc. Here's what I mean. So, you beat the game, or maybe you just destroy every single toilet in all 30 levels. And yes, that's the trigger. A new option then appears on your main menu, Death Tank Zwei. This is a complete turn-based tank combat game. This was an official sequel to a cult favorite called Death Tank. And the only way to play it was hidden inside this Duke Nukem 3D port, or also in the sister port of Power Slave. I mean, let that sink in. They packaged a whole separate, sought-after game as a bonus. I mean, that's insane value. It speaks to Lobotomy's philosophy. They were Saturn wizards, showing off what the console could do, and rewarding the players who supported them with something truly special. But sadly, this story has a bittersweet ending, because Lobotomy's mastery of the Saturn came at the very end of its life. While Duke Nukem 3D hit shelves in late 1997, by 1998, Sega was already shifting its focus to the Dreamcast. The Saturn market in the West evaporated overnight. The studio, which had only been around for 5 years, sadly closed its doors shortly after. It's a tough what could have been, if they had more time, more support from Sega. What else could they have pulled off? Their 3 Saturn games proved the hardware, for all of its complexity, could do really incredible things in the right hands. So, is Duke Nukem 3D on the Saturn the definitive version? No. The PC original, with its unaltered levels and mod support, to me, it still holds the crown. But that's not the point. The Saturn port is something far more rare. It's a fascinating variation of a classic. It's a technical achievement that showed the Saturn's true potential. It's a unique, more challenging experience. And for me, it makes it more than worth revisiting. But what do you think about Duke Nukem? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. If this retrospective hit the spot, then hitting that like button is the best way to let me know. And if you want more deep dives into the games that defined our childhoods, make sure you're subscribed. Alright my friends, this is the Retro Gaming Boss, signing out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.